Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I'm back with 4 new DIY Easter decor ideas that are all easy and budget friendly. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you do, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it. Now let's get right into today's video. For DIY number 1, I'm making a moss topiary. And for this one, I'm using a 3-inch terracotta pot from Dollar Tree. And I started by painting that with my Waverly chalk paint in the color Ivory. I painted the entire pot this color and I only did 1 coat of paint. Once that paint was dry, I then took some sandpaper and I just started roughing up that paint a little bit to give me a nice distressed look. Once I had my pot all finished, I then moved on and started attaching this reindeer moss from Dollar Tree to a 3-inch foam ball. To attach the moss, I used some hot glue. I just placed the glue right onto the foam ball and then pressed the moss on top of that to attach it. And I continued this step over and over again until I had my ball completely covered in the moss. It does look really messy, but I did end up using my scissors to trim down that reindeer moss and give my ball its shape back. Next, I'm taking this dowel rod and I'm pressing it into the bottom of my moss ball. Once I had it in my ball, I decided I wanted it to have a stained look. So I then used my Craftsmart wood stain on an old rag and I just applied that to the entire dowel rod. Now I'm wrapping some of this Easter themed berry garland around my entire ball. I just randomly wrapped it around in different places until I thought it looked good. Once I had it all the way wrapped around, I just cut off the end, and then that end wire piece, I just looped through another one of the wire pieces that was already on the ball just to hold everything into place. I did pick this garland up at Hobby Lobby. It was $2.99 and then I think it was like 40% off of that. Next, I'm cutting down some of this floral foam that I picked up from Dollar Tree. I did have to cut it down into a few different pieces to get it to fit exactly the way I wanted it to into the bottom of my pot. I then placed my dowel rod right in the center of that floral foam, and I thought it would be really cute to add some Spanish moss to the very top of my pot. And I just attached it using some hot glue, put the hot glue at the very top of the floral foam and then pressed the moss on top of that. And I did give it a little bit of a trim as well. For the last step in this project, I'm adding some jute on the underneath lip of the top of my pot. I wrapped the jute around a few times, I would probably say like 4 or 5 times, and then I cut off the end and hot glued that to secure it. And this is my moss topiary all finished. I think it turned out super cute. It was a really easy and affordable project, and I really love the pastel colors of this berry garland. Now for DIY number 2, I'm making a Hello Easter sign. For this one, I'm using 3 of these unfinished oval wood shapes. These ones were 4 3/4 by 7 inches, and I did pick them up at Michael's. 2 of them I'm painting with my Waverly chalk paint in the color Ivory, and I only did 1 coat of paint on 2 of them, and I did paint around all of the edges of them as well. Then for the 3rd oval shape, I'm painting that one with my Folk Art chalk paint in the color Sage. I love this color so much. It is great for Easter, or I guess pretty much any time, but I really love it for Easter. I painted 1 coat on this one as well, and all 3 of the oval shapes were 99 cents a piece. After the paint was all dry, I'm then taking my Folk Art chalk paint in the color Castle on a small fluffy brush, and I'm dry brushing that onto both of the oval shapes that I have painted the ivory color. You can't really see it here, but this is giving it a more like distressed, rustic look. My lighting was a little bit too bright here, so sorry about that. And then for the sage color oval, I'm dry brushing that with the ivory color. It's now time to assemble everything together. I'm taking the sage colored oval and I'm placing hot glue on the back side of it, and then I'm pressing that one onto the 2 ivory colored ovals. In this project, I'm also using this unfinished wood word cutout that says hello, and I'm painting it with my Waverly paint in the color Ivory. I did pick this one up from Hobby Lobby, and it came in a pack of a bunch of different words, and some of them were hello, family, grateful, blessed, and a couple other ones as well. And then I'm using these individual wood letters. These ones I think are either from Hobby Lobby or Michael's. They were just in a stash with a bunch of wood letters that I had, and I'm spelling out the word Easter, and I'm also painting them all with the Waverly paint in Ivory. Once the paint was all dry, I'm then using hot glue on the back of my wood hello word and then just placing that right in the center of my sage oval. And then before I hot glue my letters that say Easter, I did put them below the word hello, and I just wanted to have them all spaced out before I started gluing them down, because once you glue it down, it's really hard to get it off if you're not, or if you don't have them spaced exactly the way you want them to. So I always like to set the individual letters down first before hot gluing them on. Now I'm using this burlap ribbon from Dollar Tree, and I'm cutting it down so that the edges of the ribbon will go along the oval shape. And then once I have the two edges cut of the ribbon, I'm also cutting the ribbon to be a little bit thinner as well. I'm then attaching that piece of ribbon right underneath my word Easter using some hot glue. For this project, I thought it would be really cute to add some of these spring florals that I picked up from Hobby Lobby. I really loved the green color on these and how cute the little white flower is. But before I started attaching them, I had to cut them down just a little bit so that it would be easier to place onto my sign. I'm attaching the little flowers right over top of the burlap, and I used hot glue on the stem of each flower and then just pressed that down onto the burlap. I did have to hold each flower down until the glue was completely set to make sure that they stayed in place. After I had all of my flowers attached, I decided to add some Spanish moss to all of the stems of my flowers, and I used hot glue to attach it, and I thought it just added a really cute touch to my sign. And then to add one more little detail, I decided to add a small bow at the very top of the sign right above the word hello, and I used this really cute striped ribbon from Dollar Tree. I just made a little bow, and then for the tail ends of the ribbon, I just cut those in a diagonal shape and then hot glued that bow right on the top of my sign. To create the hanger for my sign, I'm using some nautical rope. I just measured that to the length that I wanted my hanger to be, cut that down to size with the world's dullest scissors. Since this video, I have purchased a good pair of scissors, but these ones had definitely seen better days, so it took me forever to get through this rope. But once I had it all cut, I then flipped my sign over, and to attach the rope, I used my staple gun. And here is my Hello Easter sign all finished. I ended up putting mine in the center of a wreath. I love all of the neutral colors on this. It can go with pretty much any decor. For DIY number 3, I'm making hop blocks, and for this one I'm using 3 different size and shaped blocks. These did come in a unfinished like wood block pack from Hobby Lobby, and I just picked out 3 of them that I thought would be good. And I'm painting all of them with my folk art chalk paint in the color Sage. You guys know I love this color so much, and I only did 1 coat of paint on all of the blocks. Once those were sitting and drying, I'm using the letter H and P. These letters, I believe, are from Hobby Lobby. Again, I just picked them out of my pack of letters that I have just randomly in my craft stash, and I'm painting that with the Waverly paint in the color Ivory, both for the letter H and P. Next, I'm using this Easter-themed berry garland that I picked up from Hobby Lobby, and I'm wrapping it around 2 of my fingers about 3 or 4 times to form a wreath. This is going to be the O for my word hop. I'm then placing hot glue along the back side of the wreath and then putting that in the center of the block that I'm using for the middle. I'm then attaching my letter H to the front of one of my blocks and then attaching the letter P to the front of one of my blocks. Next, I'm using this burlap ribbon from Dollar Tree, and I'm cutting it a few inches in length, and then I'm cutting that strip in the shape of a bunny ear. After I had my first ear cut out, I then needed to cut out a second ear. So I did the same thing, just cut a few inches of a burlap, but now I was able to use my first ear as a guide to help me cut out my second ear so that both of them would be the same size. To add some detail to my ears, I'm using some of this white trim that has like these little pom-poms on them, and I'm hot gluing that around all of the edges of both of my ears. I did pick this up at the Target dollar spot last year around Valentine's Day, but I know that a lot of craft stores have trim and ribbon very similar to this one. For the very last step for this project, I'm just using some hot glue on the bottom sides of both of my ears and then hot gluing those on the very top of my block that has the letter H on it. And here are my hot blocks all finished. This project only took me a few minutes to create. I think it turned out super cute and it's perfect for any tabletop or shelf decor. Now for the fourth and final DIY today, I'm making potted bunny ears. For this one, I'm using a 3-inch terracotta pot from Dollar Tree and I'm painting it with the Waverly chalk paint in the color Ivory, and I did paint my entire pot this color. Once the ivory color was dry, I'm then taking my folk art chalk paint in the color Castle on a small fluffy brush and I'm dry brushing that color on my entire pot, and I'm going all in the same direction to give it a rustic look. Next, I'm cutting down some of this floral foam from Dollar Tree. I did have to cut it down a few different times so that it was the right size to place into my pot. I'm also using some of these bunny ears napkin holder from Hobby Lobby, and it did have a tag attached to the back, and I was able to just tear that off really slowly and it was fine. It didn't damage the ears. And then I didn't want to have it completely in a circle, so I just used some scissors to cut the very bottom of the napkin holder, and then I placed that into my pot around my floral foam. For this project, I'm using some boxwood stems from Walmart. This whole bundle, I believe, was only $1.47, which is a great price, and I cut them down quite a bit so that I could place them around my bunny ears without them being too overpowering. And I just placed some hot glue right onto the floral foam and then pressed the boxwood stem on top of that to hold them into place. I continued this step until I had the boxwoods around the entire floral pot, going all the way around all of my bunny ears. Next, I'm using some of these mini eggs. They did come on a floral pick from Michael's. They are $1.99, and then I got 40% off of that pick, so really inexpensive. I just cut the little eggs off of the stem and then placed those into my floral pot around all of the boxwood stems. And for the eggs that didn't have an actual stem left on it to place into the floral foam, I just hot glued those right onto the boxwoods. To add just a little bit more detail to my pot, I'm using some of this jute ribbon from Dollar Tree. I'm measuring it around the bottom portion of my pot and then just cutting that down to size and hot gluing it around my pot. And here are my potted bunny ears all finished. Again, such an easy project that goes with pretty much any kind of decor. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it. It really helps out my channel. If you're not subscribed, I hope that you will consider subscribing, and please be sure to hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. And I would love to hear in the comments down below which project from today's video is your favorite. Thank you so much for watching.